Welcome to a new Daily Top AskReddit video. Today's topic:
what was your worst dating app surprise? I signed up for eHarmony once during a particularly low period of my life. Did the personality questionnaire and was told that I was unmatchable. That was a great help for my mental health at the time. Dude, same. Said something about having very low compatibility and wouldn't let me sign up. Which, to be fair, I feel like I do have low compatibility when it comes to dating. I do very well at being compatible with people and I got the same thing. I think the real problem is being like the type of people who usually use eHarmony. They filter certain types out intentionally. eHarmony matched me with a woman that just got out of prison in Alaska for attempted murder of a police officer. In eHarmony's defense, it's not like she had that on her profile. Met her at a nice cafe. She brought her laptop and I helped her with her university homework. Never heard from her again. Sounds like she was trying to not get the D. Or maybe just the PhD. I was living in Kai and got a message one night from a lady in Texas. Said she was from the town I was living in, not my hometown, and wanted to know if we knew each other since we were the same age. Said she wanted to come back home for a visit but had burned some bridges when she was younger and didn't feel welcome. I told her if she wanted to come I would pick her up at the airport and she could stay in my extra bedroom, no expectations whatsoever. She came, spent the night. She is not someone I would even be interested in, I was only being a friend. The next night, I went to work. Came home and she was in the extra room with the door closed. I went to bed. Woke up Saturday morning, she had the door cracked but appeared to still be in bed. Decided I would wait until she said something or came out. She finally called my name when I passed by and asked me if I would open the door so she could talk to me. I did. She said she wasn't feeling good. Told me she was having a GI bleed, gastrointestinal, and was apologizing for leaving blood all over the bed and floor all the way to the bathroom. I told her that she needed an ambulance and was she okay if I called one, and I asked her was she going to go with them if I did. She said she would, so I called 911. The ambulance came and took her to the hospital. I cleaned up blood most of the day until time to go to work again on Friday night. Came home after work, heard nothing from her and her stuff was still in my house. Saturday morning I get a call, the guy says he is her brother. He said, "I'm sorry to have to tell you this but XXXXX died in the hospital last night." Her sister called me the next day and we arranged for me to get her stuff to her. Another sister emailed me about a month later and said she had been a terrible alcoholic for most of her adult life and it had destroyed her digestive system. Gave up dating apps after that. Meet my wife shortly afterwards. Edit, at the time this happened we were both around 50. It was a rural area where generally people help each other out. I knew the risk, decided to take it. Partly due to our ages, and partly because I am 6 inches 4, and 210 pounds. She was in bad health, barely mobile, and no means of transportation while visiting. Where was she going to go with any of my stuff that was mostly hand-me-downs anyways? Nightmare, yes, but at the same time, you can feel proud of yourself. You gave a sketchy person a chance, probably allowing her the hope of unburning some of those burned bridges. You treated her with respect and concern so at least she felt somewhat safe during her final ordeal. Nothing to regret about your behavior at all. I hope that has brought you some peace to balance the trauma of it all. I hope he reads this. Doing good for someone this troubled is always commendable and really think it brought peace to her soul. Maybe her sister contacting you was the proof of you helping unburning those bridges and reconciliation she did with her sister. She showed up and brought her husband for backup. Hold it. What? How did that go? Well, I didn't know we were playing doubles, or that her husband preferred watching from the sidelines. I was outmatched pretty fast. There are a lot of women on Tinder who advertise that the gay or bi will start chatting with another woman, and then will reveal casually after several messages are sent that they are in fact married or in a serious relationship with a guy. This happened to my brother. He was funneled with free drinks and agreed the hubby could watch. Apparently was the best fuck of his life. Would have been even better if the hubby would stop trying to finger his asshole the whole time. Tears of joy. Excuse me. Wow, you were close enough with your brother to know these details of his sex life. The only evidence I have about my siblings' sex life is they have children. And that's all I want to know. We were making out in my car in a public parking lot at like 2 a.m. The cops showed up, and when they asked why we weren't home, we both lived within about a mile. He said his wife and kids were home flushed. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Open mouth smile. He didn't get any, but he did get to take a walk of shame home. As soon as the cop left I told him to take a hike. Your comment reminded me of one of the most memorable Tinder dates I had back in college. I was like 19 and went on a date with a guy in his late 20s or early 30s. When he brought me back to campus, we were sitting in his car talking for a while. A campus security officer, CSO, drove up and asked what was going on. My date responded by saying we were just talking, and the CSO asked me if that was true and if I was okay, felt safe. I assured him I was, and he gave an answer that sounded like he wasn't convinced but said we can't stay parked there, so I said goodnight and went inside while the CSO stuck around to see me enter my dorm. When my date got home, he went on a rant about how unbelievable it was that the CSO would imply that he was a predator. His entire attitude about the situation made me question whether I actually was safe, and I immediately blocked him. The officer probably had a read on him that you didn't, such was why he waited to see you into the dorm. She showed up and was 7 months pregnant. No, she didn't tell me in advance. Hey, no danger in getting her knocked up. I could microwave watermelon for a similar sensation. Edit, it's a joke, guys. On his dating profile looked emo and cool, no tooth smiling photos and a picture of his 2-year-old daughter on his shoulders. When he showed up, he looked like Cricket from Always Sunny after the gang fucked him up. Missing teeth, black and yellow for the ones he had left. His daughter was now 7 years old, so the photos were years and years out of date. Looked emo and cool, no tooth smiling photos, that's enough of a red flag. I was going to say, if you're still putting off sexy, emo and cool non-smiling selfies in the 2020s as a person on a dating app in your mid-30s, I'll immediately think you're into heavy drugs and or haven't developed mentally since 2008. It's fine if it's just one photo because you clearly liked the style, but have mentally moved on, and the rest are normal, like, here's me and my dog. Here's me and my baby niece smiling at the beach. Here's me hiking in the Rockies with my friends. Quote, but if you only have non-smiling, dark, bad boy, artsy emo selfies in your 30s. Location flag, location flag, location flag. My mate matched with my then GF. Turns out whenever I was out of town, the town was in her. Did she not recognize him, or did she just assume he'd be down for fucking behind your back? Shed only mayhem once, and yeah, don't think she was really thinking, end dick on the rain, I guess. A couple of times I went out on a date, the pictures the women had in their profile were easily 10 years old. I mean, what's the point of lying? We will meet eventually. I mean, what's the point of lying? We will meet eventually. He's banking on the sunk cost fallacy. Like you'll say, well, I know she isn't as good looking as the picture I saw, and I do see this as a red flag, but why cancel the date over a few red flags? Quote, learning about the sunk cost fallacy easily revolutionized the way I thought about things I've done, am currently doing. The point is that if they used their real pictures they would never get any matches, but if they use older pictures where they look better, there is a small chance that by the time the guy meets them IRL they charmed him enough that he will look past it. Honest to God, when I went back on the apps I had gained weight. Do you think one man reacted with disgust? No, I told them, they saw recent pics. And nothing bad happened. I only learned how many dudes don't mind. Catfishing is insane. Also, the dude who liked me chubby and now normally slim pushed my confidence to the sky. Closing parenthesis. I went on a date with a girl. She looked beautiful, just like her profile. Had a great time, laughing, talking about life, it was awesome. Then right before I dropped her off at her place she turns to me and says, just so you know, I'm a lesbian. I don't date men and I'm not attracted to men physically. I would like to have sex with you just to make sure. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Huh. I was insulted, flattered, and honored all at the same time. Then she told me she was currently in a 3-year relationship with a woman and she didn't know about this. I have a similar story. First date, not through an app, but whatever. We had such a good time. She was beautiful, funny, and so engaging. We were in my car looking out over the river, and I mentioned something about the last woman I dated being deathly afraid of water. My date turned white as a ghost. Wait, you're not gay? She said, finally. No, quote. I said, confused. I asked you out to dinner, remember? Quote, yeah, I thought you were gay and were going to be my gay friend. My husband is going to be so mad. Quote, so, did you? Still waiting, expressionless. My friend went on a date with this lady and said she was a 10, really smart, has a PhD and does research, and has her entire life together while he wasn't doing much. He was like, this is the one. Turns out she was getting married and just used him for one last fling. He was devastated. If you need one last fling before marriage, it means you shouldn't get married to that person because you're obviously not satisfied. One last fling before the wedding. There'd be plenty more after. I would have tracked down and told the fiancé. This was a long time ago. Long story short, I got catfished. Now I have nothing against individuals with dwarfism, but it was not as advertised, and when she showed up I was obviously taken back. Now maybe I'm too nice. I figured the worst that could happen was having a nice conversation and a glass of wine and I'd be out of there. In the middle of dinner she pulls out a 2 inches thick binder full of lighting fixtures. I got catfished by a woman with dwarfism who simultaneously tried to sell me on some wild LED MLM scheme. Only date I've ever walked out of. In the middle of dinner she pulls out a 2 inches thick. I'm not sure I've ever been more surprised by how a sentence ended. Which one do you want first? The one where the guy showed up, shouted at me for being 3 minutes late and then read me the entire wiki page about the EU referendum, or the one where it took me 3 drinks to realize I'd already slept with the guy? Second one is wild lol. Did the second guy's appearance change since you had done the deed, or was it just the most forgettable sex ever? The second, tears of joy. After a few drinks we asked why I stopped contacting him originally. He then asked if I wanted to go back to his tears of joy.